Good morning, everybody, and as usual, happy Saturday. I wasn't here last week and I kind of miss you guys. Hope everybody's doing good. So, for today's stick mobility class, I'm Coach Ray, by the way, we're going to be using two sticks. I have one short stick and one long stick. All right, so we're going to focus on those superficial front lines. We are going to need a pad for us to kneel on because for part of the strength training drill, we are going to be in a tall kneeling position and work it from that position. I also have a bench because we're going to actually incorporate that into our stretching and we're going to incorporate it into our warm-ups a little bit. So we are going to work on core too. So for our warm-up, we're going to go through a full body mobilization. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So I just want to warm up the feet and ankles first. And just kind of segment the hips into it a little bit here. So we're going to take the short stick. Now from here, I'm going to grip the stick with a double overhand grip. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from a nice tall position. I'm going to step back, work on splitting the hips actively and keeping that back foot tall. So I'll actually kind of turn to the side here so you can see. So from here, your hands can be out relatively wide if you'd like. What I'm going to do, I'm going to have the stick out in front. I'm going to compress the stick. Now with my right foot, I'm going to step back and create a big split here. And I want to actively drive my front foot forward or front leg forward and my back leg back. You should feel the glute activate and squeeze here. Keep that back leg straight if you can and then come up. Good. And we're going to repeat that on the opposite side. So compress that stick about 30%. Step back, actively split the hips. Drive that back leg back, front leg forward, almost like you're trying to do a front splits here. Then back up, good, switch sides, still compress the stick, actively split. I'm sure you probably noticed my back foot just slid back a little bit. Up, let's go back one more time on the other side. Nice tall position, split the hips. Good. 3, 2, 1. Back up and ease off. And now we're going to go with lateral shifting of the heels here. So I'm going to have the stick in line to my center line here. I'm going to take a relatively wide stance, so maybe a slight bit wider than shoulder width here. Toes are pointed forward. What I'm going to do, I want my hands at chest height. We're going to squat down a little bit, nice horse stance. Bring both heels up. Nice and tall. Notice that the position or level of my torso doesn't change. I'm going to shift both heels to the left. So I'm on the pinky toe of my left foot, big toe of my right foot. Now I'm going to shift my heels to the right. Good. Left. Right. Good. Left. Right. One more time each way, left and right. Back to center, come down nice and slow and ease off. Good. So I'm gonna take the stick now. I'm gonna grip with my fingers at the tips here. And what we're gonna do a dynamic warm-up. So now we're gonna be stepping back. So kind of like how we're splitting the hips earlier, we're still gonna keep that active hip split drive there, but we're going to do some kayaking in between. So now we're going to get the spine and the shoulders to go as well. So I'm going to stand forward here, feet are together, and I'm going to step back to my right foot first. As I do that, I want my right hand to drive through. So let's start with that right hand up, step back with the right foot, drive that right hand through, step back up, and then step back with the left, drive that left hand through. Good. Actively split the hips as you're down there. Don't just relax. You should be feeling that back glute. Fire here. Breathe. Let's go a couple more. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent, good. And now we're gonna work on the spine here. We're gonna use the stick as a way to work into rotation. So we're gonna hinge first. And as we do this, we're gonna let go with one hand. So we're gonna stack the hands. So since we're gonna rotate to the right first, I'm gonna have my left hand stacked over my right. Again, I want the stick in line with my center line here. Feet are pointed forward. I want my hands at about chest height. From here, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drive my hips back, reaching my hands out. So I'm gonna get a little bit of extension here. Now I'm gonna rotate the stick and my shoulders over to the left. So my right shoulder's pointed towards the floor. I'm gonna let go with my left hand and drive the stick out to my left more and reach up with the left. 3, 2, 1. Place the left hand back down on the stick. Bring it back forward and come up. Good. We're gonna repeat that again 2 more times on the same side. So arms straight, drive the hips back. Good. Make sure your head clears your arms. Let go with the left hand, drive the stick out to the left. 3, 2, 1. Place that left hand back. Come forward and back up. Let's go one more time, then we'll switch sides. Drive the hips back. Lean forward. Rotate to the left. Let go with that left hand. Drive that right hand out. 3, 2, 1. Place the hand back. Stand up. Ease off. Now we're going to switch sides. I'll turn to the side here. So left hand is under the right. Again, both hands are at chest height here. You're going to hinge. Drive those hips back. Rotate to the right. Good. Let go with the right hand. Reach up. Drive that left hand out. 3, 2, 1. Place that right hand back on. Come back forward and up. Good. Let's go 2 more here. You should be feeling a ton of rotation happening at the mid back and the thoracic spine. So hinge the hips back, reach out with the hands, rotate to the right, let go with the right hand, reach up and back. Good. Right hand back down, rotate back forward, stand up. Excellent. Let's go one more time here. Drive those hips back, reach those hands out. Rotate to the right. Let go with the right hand. Reach back. 3, 2, 1. Bring that right hand back down. Come forward and up. Excellent. Good. So now I'm going to take the bench. But we don't need a long stick. Not as of yet. But we're going to be in a seated position. And so the reason why I want to go with the seated position here, it allows us to be in a position where we can kind of control the pelvis a little bit more or not put as much stress on the pelvis. So we're actually going to be doing a push-pull dislocate here. So I'll actually kind of turn to the side. And so my hands are going to be wider than shoulder width or whatever's most comfortable for you. Now, as we're here, feet are going to be whatever distance you want. I'll go with the split, well, my feet are about roughly hip width here. So keeping a nice, good, tall posture. I want to pull the stick apart, keeping my arms straight. I want to kind of pull my chin back. So I'm going to keep some activation in the posterior chain here. I'm going to slowly bring the stick up overhead, pulling apart about 30% tension. Good. Keep that rib cage down towards the hips. I'm going to bring the stick back down, so pulling apart. Once it gets to eye level, I want to compress the stick. Feel the anterior tissues turn on. Once the stick touches my legs, immediately pull apart again. Slowly come back up. Breathe. Back down. Compress. Good. All the way down. Touch the legs, pull apart. Back up again. All of that end range position. Keep pulling apart. Bring the stick down. Behind the head. Keep pulling apart. Up. Nice and slow. Down. Compress. Let's go one more time. As soon as it touches the legs, pull apart. Back up. Allow those shoulder blades to move naturally. Pull apart. Keep pulling. Bring it down. Nice and slow. Keep control. Good. Up. Excellent. Down. And compress. And ease off. Excellent. Good. And so now I'm going to move this over a little bit more so I'm centered. And so we're going to work on rotating. Now we can have a block here like a yoga block or pad, something for us to kind of compress on. What that does is it keeps us from actually moving the hips side to side, but I'm going to trust you guys here. So I'm going to grip the sticks. I'm not really gripping the sticks. I'm going to have my fingertips on the end of the sticks here. And I want my feet to be actually relatively close together. I want to make sure I'm grabbing the ground with my toes here, staying up nice and tall. Now, again, we don't want the rib cage to flare out. We want to keep the rib cage down. With my fingertips on the end of the sticks here, I'm going to lightly compress on the stick, about roughly 15 to 20% tension. I'm going to rotate to my left. Now, as I do that, I really am trying not to move my hips. I'm driving that right hand back and across. Then I'm going to come back to center and rotate to the right. Good, nice and slow. Do not let those hips move. Good, back to center. Rotate to the left. This requires a lot of control. Rotate to the right. Make sure we're keeping control of the hips, that they're not all over the place. Back to center. Let's go to the left one more time. Good. Now to the right. Good. Back to center. Let's actually make it more challenging now. So I'm going to grip out quite a bit wider than shoulder width here. I'm going to go to an overhead position. Again, working on that rotation. So only rotate as far as you comfortably can. So I'm going to be here. I'm going to lightly pull the stick apart, and I want to try to keep it overhead best that I can. And I'm going to rotate to my left. You're going to notice it's going to be harder to get that rotation. Back to center. You might not have as much range, and that's okay. Rotate to the right. Good. Back to center. Rotate to the left. Keep pulling that stick apart. Do not lose that tension. About 30% here. Rotate to the right. Good. Rotate to the left. Excellent. Rotate to the right. Good. Back to center. Down nice and slow. And ease off. Perfect. All right. Now this is where we get into the fun stuff. The strength training. How you doing? So we are going to start off with the long stick. So we're going to do a standing plank, and we're just going to focus on getting a lot of tension there. After that, we're going to go to the floor, and we're going to do some dead bugs, extending one leg at a time there. And then after that, be a little bit more fun. You guys ready? So I'm gonna move this to the side. I'm gonna grab the long stick. So the benefit of having the long stick here is you can lengthen the lever. So if I want to make the standing plank more challenging, I'd simply grab up higher. That's going to create a lot more demand on the rib cage area. So to start off with, I'm going to start at chest height, and I'm going to progressively move my hands up higher on the stick, again, to lengthen that lever here. So I'll do it from the side. So feet are going to be a little wider than shoulder width. I want to make sure I'm grabbing the ground with my feet here, locking the knees out. So I don't want soft knees. I actually want to have my knees a little locked. And I want to control the pelvis by tucking the pelvis a bit here, or squeeze your glutes. So arms are straight at chest height. What I'm going to do from here, keep the shoulder blades down. I'm going to drop my ribs down, so I'm going to flex my spine a little bit. And I'm going to drive the stick into the floor, 60%. Ready? And push, drive down. We're going to hold this for 15 seconds. It's going to feel like a nice little warm up. Keep control of the pelvis and the rib cage here. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. I'm going to move my hands up to face height now. And you can actually switch your hands. Arms straight, shoulders down, tuck the pelvis and drop the ribs down and drive. Let's go 75%. Push. You're going to notice an increased demand on the core tissues. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Excellent. Move your hands up higher, or to the top of the sticks here. So it should be about forehead height, maybe a little higher than that. So from here, same thing. Shoulders down, pelvis tucked, ribs down, and drive the stick into the floor. Let's go 90%. 3, 2, 1. Slowly ease off and relax. Perfect. Now we're going to go to the floor here. So we are all by now should be very familiar with the dead bug. So what I want to focus on is not only extending that leg, but we're actually going to lift that leg after we extend it. Right? So I'll actually have to turn here. So I'm going to have the stick roughly about shoulder width, maybe a little bit wider actually. So if your hands are closer, the stick's going to be down below your hips. If your hands are wider, it's going to be more so at hip level. So go with whatever width is most comfortable for you that doesn't cause any pain. So I'm going to go out wider than shoulder width here, bring my knees up to meet contact with the stick. Now, objectively, I want to make sure we keep our upper back off the floor here, just to make sure, again, we're aligning the rib cage and the pelvis. So from here, driving the stick down with my hands and driving my knees up, I'm going to compress. Let's go 60% and push. Make sure you breathe. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Take a second. Now this is where we extend one leg, lift, down, and bring it back in to meet the stick here. So from here, get your grip, bring the knees up to meet, and compress. I'm going to extend my right foot out. Good. Lift the right leg straight up. Back down. Bring that knee back in. Switch sides. Left leg extends. Lift the left leg up. Good. Down. Bring the knee back in. And ease off. Excellent. So, a little bit harder because the isometric's a lot longer, but let's do that 2 more times. So, let's actually make it more challenging. Widen out your grip even more, so now your knees have to come up higher. Get set in position. compress. Good, draw those knees up, hands down, extend that right leg, up. Good, down. Bring that right knee back up, meet the stick, create that tension, left leg, extend, up, down. Keep that tension, knee to the stick, and ease off. Excellent. We're gonna go one more time here. Now again, if you want more of a challenge, you can bring your hands out even wider than where they're at. You just want to make sure that you're able to still push down with the arms. Let's go one last time here. Let's go 75% tension on this last one. Bring the knees up, upper back off the floor, and push. Extend that right leg. Good, lift up. Excellent, down. Good, back in. Switch, left leg out. Up. Good, down. In. And ease off. Whoo. Oh my God. Start to cramp a little bit here. So, now I'm gonna change out the sticks. And this is where we're gonna need the pad for us to kneel on, because we are gonna be doing a Nordic, so it's gonna be basically like a Nordic knee extension, basically. So, sorry, tripping over my words here, folks. So, I'll do 2 reps from the front, and then I'll do 2 reps from the side. We're gonna do 4 reps in total. We're gonna use the short stick here. We're gonna use a stick to create anterior line tension. So we're gonna work again, working that superficial front line here. So I'm gonna take the short stick, and I'll actually come up a little closer to the camera here. Now, how much range you have always depends on you. Whatever doesn't cause any pain. If you're having any sort of knee problems or knee pain here, my suggestion would be you can do this from a single leg position by keeping that front leg down, just so you don't have as much tension and load there, all right? So I'm gonna have both knees down. Again, nice tall kneeling position. My knees are about roughly at shoulder width. You can go wider if you want, or you can go more narrow and make it more challenging here. Now, I have my ankles extended, so the tops of my feet are actually driving into the floor here. We want to make sure we keep that anterior line tension. I'm going to have the stick about roughly shoulder width, maybe slight bit wider. Now, from here, from that tall position, I want to drive both feet into the floor, and I want to squeeze the glutes. Squeezing the glutes allows me to keep my hips in extension without extending my low back here. Now from here, I'm gonna pull apart first, and I'm gonna slowly lean back under control, keep driving those feet into the floor. Once you get to that max range, compress the stick. Back up to the tall position and ease off. So you're gonna feel like you're getting quite a bit of a stretch, but we're also really working those quads here. So let's go again. Arms straight out, drive those feet into the floor, squeeze those glutes. Pull the stick apart, get some of that posterior chain activation here. Slowly come back. Once you get to that max range, compress. Back up. And ease off. Excellent. I'm going to turn to the side here. Again, we still got 2 more repetitions. So if you're having any back issues here, any back pain, again, do not be afraid to either reduce the range of motion or try to find a position that's going to be most comfortable for you. So from here, same thing, arms are straight, tops of my feet are into the floor here. Pull the stick apart, drive the feet into the floor, squeeze the glutes, starts to go back. Find that in range, compress. Back up. And ease off. Take a second. Let's go one more time here. Okay. Pull a stick apart. Slowly lean back. Keep that tension. Keep driving those feet to the floor. Do not lose that tension here. Compress. 3, 2, 1. Back up. And ease off. Excellent. Good. So, again, if you're having any pain or you're trying to find a way to make that particular drill a little easier, you can actually go from a position where you're here, right? So you're not having as much tension, but you're still able to load all those same tissues there. Okay, so now we are going to get into a split squat position. We're going to hover that back knee. Now, as we do this here, we want to make sure we're driving the stick down. Again, really connecting those anterior tissues as we do this. So you're only going to hover the knee about a couple inches off the floor. So I'm going to have my left leg forward, right leg back. I have my right ankle, back ankle dorsiflexed here. Again, we'll make sure we drive that big toe into the floor here, create that power. The bottom of the stick is in line with the ball of my front foot here, in line with my center line. So, first thing, drive the stick down, 70%, push, keep those shoulders down. Now I'm gonna hover that back knee, squeezing that back glute, keeping those hips into extension. 3, 2, 1, back down and ease off. We're gonna do that 2 more times and we're gonna switch sides. I'll turn to the side so you can see that as well. Arms straight, drive the stick down 70%, push. Good, hover that back knee. Hold. 3, 2, 1, back down, nice and slow, and ease off. Let's go one more time here, folks. Arms straight, 70%, drive. Good, hover that back knee. 3, 2, 1, back down and ease off. Excellent. Going to turn to the side here. So left leg is back, right leg is forward. And so, I want to point something out real quick. If you're finding that you're having a really hard time controlling the pelvis, meaning you start to go up and you start to do an interior shift, start off with tucking your pelvis first and then just drive your feet into the floor. You don't necessarily have to lift your knee off the floor if you don't have the ability to here. So I'm going to switch my hands, stick it still line up in the same way. Hands at shoulder height, driving that back foot down. From here, drive the stick down 70%. Hover the back knee. Make sure you're keeping that glute tight. Nice, good, tall position. And 3, 2, 1, down nice and slow, and ease off. Good. Let's go 2 more here. It shouldn't feel like you're getting a whole lot of shifting or a lot of movement in the change in position. So from here, drive down, 70%, hover the back knee, squeeze the glute, keep those hips into extension. 3, 2, 1, back down and ease off. Let's go one more time here. 70%, drive the stick down, hover the back knee, squeeze that back glute. 3, 2, 1, good, back down and ease off. Excellent, good. Now, this is where we get into the cool down. So now we're gonna finish off working on some stretching. So we're going to stretch out the anterior tissues first. So we're going to work on the hip flexors and the quad, and then we're just going to kind of move up from there. So we're going to go back to a full kneeling position, and I'll actually kind of show this from the side, because what we're going to do here is going to work in and out of that hip flexor stretch. We're going to hold that in range for 3 seconds, but what's going to be a little different here is we're going to intensify how much tension we're actually generating as we go along here. So I'm going to have that right leg down first. Top of my foot is going to be on the floor, and I want to drive that back foot down, right? Keeping that anterior line tension here. I'm going to have the stick in front of the line of my toes here on my left foot. I'm going to have my hands roughly about chest height. Now from this position, I want to tuck my pelvis, so I'm going to do a posterior tilt. You should feel an immediate stretch or a little bit of tension in that front hip here. I'm going to now intensify it by driving that back foot down, roughly about 20%. And now I'm going to drive the stick down, again, 20%. I'm going to shift my hips forward, finding that end range, hold 3, 2, 1. I'm going to come back up, keeping that tension the entire time. Also, don't be afraid to adjust your front foot. I'm going to go forward a little bit more. Drive that tension up to 30%, a little bit harder. Shift forward. Split the hips. 3, 2, 1. Back up. Drive the stick down 40%, a little bit harder. Shift forward. 3, 2, 1. Back up. Drive down 50% of your max tension. Shift forward. 3, 2, 1. Good. Come back up and slowly ease off. It should feel like you're able to access more range as we go along here. So I'll turn forward. And we'll do that same thing. You also want to make sure that you're not shifting side to side and your hips are a little wonky. You want to keep everything very saggy. So I'm going to have the sticks up in the same spot. I'm going to drive that back foot down. Posterior pelvic tilt, keep that tilt. Do not let that go at any point. Drive the stick down 20%, drive that back foot down 20%. Shift forward, find that in range. 3, 2, 1. Back up, increase the tension to 30. Shift forward, split those hips. 3, 2, 1. Back up, increase that tension to 40. Shift forward, split the hips. 3, 2, 1. Back up. Up that tension to 50% now. Shift forward. Split those hips. 3, 2, 1. Good. Slowly ease off and relax. Good. Now, we were in a toe kneeling position earlier working on those superficial front lines and interior lines. We're actually going to get into that same position again. So this is where you'll need the corner of a wall or something very stable for you to press the stick into, because we are going to be utilizing that same position to do the stretch. So I'm going to come back here a little bit. I'm just going to use the ramp as my wall. So for what side the stick is on, it doesn't particularly matter. You can have it on your left side, you can have it on your right side, because it's all just transitioning back. We're not actually rotating or anything like that. So I'm going to go with the tall kneeling position. The stick's on over my shoulder, but it's going towards the center of my body. So it's not angled to be directly on my shoulder. It's kind of going towards my center line here. So I'm going to walk myself down with my hands as I do this here. So from this position, same thing. Drive those feet down into the floor, tops of the foot are into the floor here. So plantar flexing. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep the stick on my shoulder and slowly walk myself back. Good, keeping tension. Go until you get a really good stretch. Hold that position. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Walk yourself back up. To that tall position, ease off. We're going to do that again. We're going to do another 3 repetitions here. Same thing. Drive those feet to the floor, create some tension, make sure your glutes are tight. Don't forget that. Slowly walk yourself back. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly walk yourself back up. Excellent. We're going to do something a little different here. We're going to extend the neck. So point the chin up and back. You're going to feel an increased stretch, especially in the neck tissues and that front line. So let's get into it again. Slowly walk those hands back, drive those feet down, keep the glutes tight. Get to that end range, and then bring your chin up and back. Back up, nice and slow. Keep it controlled. Excellent. Ease off. One last time. Then we're done with this one, I promise. So, same thing. Drive those feet down, squeeze the glutes, walk those hands back. If you can, try to get a little bit further. Bring the chin up and back. Good. Ease off. Slowly come up. And relax. Good. Now, I want to get into the slap shot. I want to work on opening up that chest line, working on some rotation, but also creating tension of a push-pull. So as we're in that slap shot position, I'm going to call it push-pull cadence, all right? Kick this over to the side. So remember, go out as wide of a stance as you need to here, whatever's comfortable, whatever doesn't cause any pain. So I'm going to have the stick behind my mid-back. I'm going to wiggle my feet out. Now from here, having my hands out, with my palms facing towards the front of my body here, I'm going to hinge back, keeping my knees soft. If your hamstrings are a little tight, this is going to feel pretty good. So probably on the same page. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate the right end of the stick down towards the floor, but I'm going to try to get a little bit further than where I typically start. So I typically go with midline. I'm going to try to get a little bit further across and place the bottom of the stick down. Now from here, I'm actually not going to add any push-pull tension as of yet. I'm going to lunge to my right, get to that end range. Now I'm going to pull the stick apart, about 30%. Now I'm going to compress the stick, so you're going to feel that rib cage a little bit. Pull the stick apart, compress, going to come back to center, ease off that compression tension, come back to center. Now I'm going to rotate the left end of the stick down. Try to get that same range if you can. Remember, we're not pulling apart yet. Lunge to the left. Make sure you're pushing off that right foot. Pull apart. Compress. Pull apart. And compress. Good. Back to center. Good. Ease off. Now let's try to take a little bit further. Let's try to get a little bit more range if we can here, all right? So I'm going to rotate the right end of the stick down. I'm going to try to get it right on the inside of my left foot here. Lunge to the right. Now get more range. Pull apart. Compress. Pull apart. Breathe. Compress. Back to center. Ease off. Now let's go to that other side here. Rotate the left end down. Good. Lunge to the left. Pull apart. Compress. pull apart, and compress. Back up, ease off, squeeze the glutes to stand up, wiggle those feet in. Awesome. Now we're just going to finish off kind of in the same position we were earlier, but the hands are going to be kind of in an X position. So we're going to utilize the shoulders to create tension, but also get a little bit more rotation here. So the position is going to be a little weird, so we're going to take some time setting this up here. I'm going to have my feet a little wider than shoulder width. Go a little closer, you can go a little wider. It varies on you. So I have the stick more towards the left side of my body. Think about if the stick was up tall, it's kind of in line with your hip, right? Right in front of your hip, left hip. So I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to place it roughly about chin level. So again, this can change depending on you. My left hand, I'm going to take and place it right about rib cage level. You can go a little bit lower, more towards the hips. Now, so my left thumb is down towards the floor, right thumb is facing up towards the ceiling. So my hands are facing in opposite directions effectively, or my thumbs are. What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to hinge back, come down, so it's okay if the knees bend. Now from here, what I'm going to do, from this position, I'm going to pull with my right shoulder and drive out with my left. Good. I'm going to come back up and ease off. So you're going to feel that mid-spine really get a lot of tension there. Place my hands back on the stick again. Same thing. I'm going to hinge back. Create that tension. Pull with the right. Push out with the left. Good. Ease off. Come back to that tall position. Let's go into it one more time. Go ahead and rotate the stick a little bit so it's not all bending in one way. I'm going to adjust my hands a little bit more. Come out to the side. Good. Pull with the right, push out with the left. Good. Slowly ease off and switch sides. So you don't need to hinge that much. You just want to go enough to where you actually get to a good position where you can start to rotate there. Same thing, left hand is up, left hand's on top, thumb facing up, right hand on the bottom, thumb facing down. Gonna hinge, go into that position, create that tension, push out with the right, pull in with the left. Good, I'm gonna ease off. Excellent. Let's go two more. Hands on the stick, hinge. You're trying to get that left shoulder to the ground, create that tension, push with the right, pull with the left. Good, slowly ease off. Excellent. Let's go one more time here. Hinge, stick goes out to the left. Create that tension, pull with the top hand, push with the bottom hand. 3, 2, 1. Slowly come up, ease off, and relax. And that, my friends, concludes today's mobility class. Thank you for joining me, everybody. I hope everybody had a good class. Be sure to catch you guys all next weekend. Have a good one and stay safe out there.